Our markets live. I hope everyone is having a great Monday, had a great weekend, getting ready for the holidays here. Um, it is a little bit of a short week here. We are only here today and tomorrow morning, and then on Thursday I will be back. I will not be in on Friday. We have our holiday stuff with my family on Friday. So a little bit more limited here. We're going to see volume sort of uh, fade away usually this week. So that's what we'll be keeping an eye on. I will say I have noticed that there has been a definite move to a much more fearful negative view on the markets without a doubt. In fact, I think market what watches headline today was Wall Street Santa Claus rally window is about to open, but with the Dow down in December. So, questions about whether or not we're going to see that rally come out is what we're wondering about. We're having a pretty good start in the morning till about 8:30, when we've seen a pretty steady decline across everything. Again, I was watching, Nasdaq. We were trading up here right around the 520 mark, and now we're back at 518 and actually negative on the day. We had been slightly up, so moving backwards a little bit here. Same thing with SPY, even a little bit of a bigger fade off here. Same thing across Bitcoin. So not and Bitcoin started a little earlier, about 8 o'clock. It started to fade off. We have been holding up in between 95 and 96,000 very well, but now back down here around this 94,885. Have to be honest when it comes to Bitcoin. If we look at the daily chart, this 50-day MA becomes our immediate support to watch. It's not far below us here, this 93. I am more concerned or watching. I'm going to see what it does as it approaches this 91 sort of 800 area. You can see we broke through that back on November 19th and, tested it again here right around Thanksgiving and, have tested it a few different times, but it's held up so far. So it's definitely the one I'm keeping an eye on here this morning. We'll see how it holds up. Do we get a bounce off this 50-day MA? If not, does this 91.65? Because quite honestly, if that doesn't hold, then you've got support down to about 87. You could see that revisit of the 82 area if we see more negativity come in here into the market over the next week or so. So we'll see what we get. Stocks moving the most today. A lot of talk about Honda and Nissan. The merger there, we talked about it a little bit last week. Sort of made sense as a merger. I mean, Nissan to me, fairly dead brand. I do think Honda is a good brand. I have had Honda cars over the years. I've always enjoyed them. But I also think they're at fear of sort of becoming stagnant, right? They don't seem to me to be the exciting car anymore by any means where they sort of had their run in the 90s. But they are up slightly on Honda and down slightly on. Actually, I want to make sure I have that right because that is switched over the weekend. Originally, Honda had dropped about 20% on the news. It is recovering here about another 15%. So now in the pre-market, we are seeing a positive. When this news came out, we had seen it drop back down, but now up at this 2730 level. So we are definitely seeing a move back up by Honda here. Gets interesting, approaching the 50-day MA there. See what happens as it breaks through that. And then Nissan is NSANY. And they now are negative today after, again, you can see the jump up that they made on the news. They had been trading at like 5, jumped up to 6, as retraced here back to 558. So almost a half measured move back here on that. Gold down to 2618. So again, that's just been declining. Also very similar to Bitcoin on that chart. Even here you have more of an M formation, although that M formation looks like it's sort of played out. But you have room back to 2554 here. So again, we're seeing weakness across all the different levels. DXY is above 108. It did set, over the weekend a new high 108,541. So we will be talking with Steve Flanagan later on today. We'll get a little bit more of an update on what he sees there. Like we said, we know money moves first. Um, if we do look, we've been able to stay, above that danger zone he talked about on the euro. And the same thing above that danger zone here. In fact, sterling tried to make a move up, but rejected pretty firmly at that 126 level. Does look like the yen is trying to make another run back up here, so we will keep an eye on that. When we do look at the spider indices here in general, they are all down except for XLY, which is consumer discretionary, is up slightly. But again, not really positive start to the day so far. Stocks is up overseas about 0.15%. So we are seeing a little bit of a rebound by the stocks, led most likely by Novo Nordisk, which is making a nice little recovery here, up about 5%. And again, it had been hit pretty hard on Friday, but it has bounced back up from a low of 81.50 here, almost back to 90. So a nice little 10% rebound here after the 20% drop the other day. There, and then if we look, Shanghai Composite is slightly down here today, and the Nikkei is up almost half a point here, so a little bit of strength there. As we look at that, keeping an eye on natural gas, 367 shot up to a 52-week high, 382. So again, Big Beat called that out at $3, man. Nice little trade from 3 to 380 if you were in there. I do know that he did take some profit off of his. I don't know if he's back in a trade on it or not, but definitely a nice move up by natural gas here. It has retraced a little bit now, back around 366. If we do look, WTI has retraced here back below the 70 handle that we had been sort of sitting at the end of last week. So a little bit of a move down by oil. I did have what sort of was moving that. Just the surging dollar sort of being why it is where it is, and DXY, like we said, definitely exploding through here. If we take a look, treasuries are moving back up, 30-year back at almost 4.75. So not all the way back to that 4.8 level that we hit last week, but we do see yields moving back up on the 30-year, the 10-year, across the board here. Um, with it, QQQ has gone back to positive here. So after seeing a nice little W formation on the little 3-minute chart here, so maybe we see a little bit of momentum here today. I don't have a lot of faith in it, but what I would say is, very similar to last week where, Steve and I were saying, hey, man, everybody's very over enthusiastic right now. We saw fear and greed very high on the level there in the greed. I feel like that's now switched, and it might be you might see a nice little rally here, a little quick, face ripper to keep an eye on. I don't expect it to last, very long, but I think you could see a little bit of a rip. So let's keep an eye there, see what happens as we get ready to open up. Crypto, like I said, Bitcoin down. Solana's taken a nice little hit here for anybody that was looking to find sort of an entrance on Solana. I love it towards this 200-day MA right around that 167 spot. But I wouldn't be afraid to play with it a little bit. Nah, I really want that 167. I'd be looking at that 160 to 167 spot as a good spot there. Definitely seeing a lot of retracement here. So one that I do think I am interested in. Ripple again on this drawback down to 219 could be an opportunity, but you really more want this if you can see it making a bigger move down. This one is still in a pretty good spot here. Cardano is another one that if you missed, you might want to try to get in here for its next pump up soon. Looking at about 82 there is the level I would probably be watching. Aave, on the other hand, one of the ones I pointed out, is still holding up pretty nicely and trying to make a move back up here. Aave actually looks pretty nice here. Let's see here, pre-market. I'm loving Mara down here at that 200-day MA. I might put it in an order here at 1935, see if it gets filled. So I'm definitely interested on another run here on Mara. MSTR continues to pull back here, 364 now. Made the jump up on Friday, but it looks like it's giving some of that back up. Is that a pause or is that just going to exasperate will be the question. Was looking some of the players that were up nicely this morning. AMTM, Amtian Holdings. We know that this had jumped up last week, but gave back all of those gains, as you can see here on the daily chart. But again, a nice little move up in the pre-market, about 2%. Was looking at the CH Robinson purely on a price action play. Looks pretty ripe for a bounce up play today if it can get some momentum here. They're air freight. They're in air freight. Tesla's having a nice move up here at about 2.5% up on the day. AVGO Broadband continuing to see itself catch some momentum here. Huh, where did my chips go? There they are. We are seeing chips. Quantum computing was moving pretty good today. With that being said, some ones that I saw were running. We've talked about LAES Seals Corp a few times in here. Does look like it's gapped to a new all-time high here this morning, right about 365. Oh no, it's not its all-time high, but gapped up to 365 here. So definitely one that is pumping today. QUBT up about 14% here this morning, another quantum computing one. I will point out something here is I was watching an article or reading an article about the different quantum computing companies, and what they had pointed out that quantum computing or QUBT very overvalued, and that they had only spent about $2 million in R&D last year versus the amount that Rigetti, who I'm going to talk about, that's right below it here, up 31% here this morning and continuing to run compared to what Rigetti had spent. So definitely interesting here. The question is, does Rigetti have it in it to make it back up to that 1274 area, or is this again a face-ripping move that we see that gets bought up or sold off pretty quickly? We will see. We are about 15 minutes from the open here. In more sort of crypto technology based news, I don't know if you guys saw Rumble, RUM is the symbol there. Actually, I got that right on here. Should, yeah, there it is. Up about 43% here in pre-market trading after the announcement that Tether, the company behind the stablecoin USDT, is going to invest $775 million. This is another one where, that's great and it's moving the price up. But if you look at sort of what's going on here, they're also going to use some of these proceeds to fund a self-tender offer of 70 million Class A common shares. So to me, there's a little bit of, stuff going on. I would not necessarily be looking at a buy on this. In fact, I would maybe be looking to fade this here. To be honest. I do that all the time. There we go. Yeah, sort of a double top here. It's now blasted through because in post it's at 10:30. Which will give it its 52-week high. Yeah, I definitely think that might be a fade play today. One definitely to keep your eye on. Bitcoin did get back above 95 here, so good to see that. We'll mention the tick sort of negative. We are nicely positive though on advanced decline, both on the New York Stock Exchange so far this morning and on NASDAQ. And then if we look across all U.S. stocks, still up about 763. So we are seeing that. VIX has moved back up to 18. It had gotten down, um, or it's 1880. It had gotten down to about 18 before bouncing back up here. So we'll keep our eye on that. ASST, Asset Entities, nice little pump up here. See what else we have going on. Mealy back down at 1720. That starts to get interesting to me also. Would have liked to have seen that when it hit 1650. Didn't notice that. We are about 13 minutes from the open here. Did see an interesting article talking about some of the bigger losers in 2024. Do you think that they are maybe turn around here? Stocks that they were talking about, Nike. Nike down about 37% over the last year. I do think Nike in their last earnings report sort of got it right in that they're going to focus heavily on their sports side and not so much on like the fitness and the, I don't want to use the word luxury, but all of that sort of type of um not haute couture either, but you know what I mean, is they're trying to catch Lululemon instead of worrying about their core basketball, football, tennis, golf business. So let's see if they get smart and turn that around. MicroStrategy did announce another buy here. They bought another 5,262 Bitcoin for 561 million. Um, Kind of worrying to me again, as I mentioned. This is where I started to get negative on Bitcoin last time. Is that it they're buying this all up and it's still not moving the price. We do see both SPY and QQ. QQQ trying to get positive here, right at negative. Um, okay, let's see what we get here. We are about 9 minutes from the open here, 9 minutes. Did see other news here from the president-elect over the weekend. He announced two significant appointments underlying his continued support for the crypto sector. Yesterday, he revealed that he nominated economist Stephen Marin to lead the Council of Economic Advisors, while Bo Hines had been named executive director of the newly formed Crypto Council. Trump expressed confidence in Marin's capabilities, noting that his role within the economic team will be pivotal in igniting the significant economic expansion that benefits all Americans. Following his nomination, Marin expressed enthusiasm for the opportunity to implement economic policies that prioritize prosperity without inflationary risks. He emphasized his commitment to driving sustainable growth that supports Americans across all income levels. In fact, he said, I look forward to working to help implement the president's policy agenda to create a booming, non inflationary economy that brings prosperity to all Americans. He was a senior economic policy advisor during Trump's first term, so he is a notable proponent of financial deregulation and innovation, particularly crypto, which he believes are crucial for economic development. Unsurprisingly, this stance has resonated well within the crypto community, attracting praise from industry figures such as the head of private clients at Swan Bitcoin, Stephen Alupka, who sees Marin's appointment as further evidence of Trump's supportive stance towards the emerging industry and a bullish move for Bitcoin projects. That's sort of an interesting one. Swan Bitcoin is a very Bitcoin maximalist company run by Corey Klippstein, who rather controversial. I'm not a big fan of him. I think that he's a little bit of an alarmist to bolster, and then you have the Crypto Council to bolster innovation in the new digital asset sector. Trump also named Bo Hines as executive director of the Crypto Council. Hines, a former college football player, will work closely with David Sachs, who is Trump's crypto and AI czar. Hines expressed enthusiasm about his new role. I don't know much about Bo Hines, so I'm trying to see there ain't much information on him here either. Hmm. Huh. Yeah, I don't see much on this guy. We'll see. We shall see what or who he is here. Try to look him up a little bit. Let's see. I'm hoping it's not somebody from his world. Let's see here. His politics. I see that he tried to play in the NFL. There isn't anything about his business. Like, what does he do in business life? He tried to run for Congress. It didn't win. Hmm. Looks like he's just a career politician so far. Oh, well, we'll see here. I'm not 1,000% sure what Mr. Hines does for a business, but he will be on the Trump's crypto team there, so we'll see what happens. We are about 4 minutes from open here. Advanced decline still in the positive, about 783. Tick is positive 141. We see the QQQ has gone slightly positive here after the big drop at 830. We are up about 0.07. SPY still slightly negative here, down about a tenth of a percentage point. Bitcoin back above 95,000 at 95,359. Gold has regained 2,600 here, so after falling below 2,600, has gotten back above it. Silver back below the 30 handle here. We are seeing a little bit of a move up by oil this morning too, back at 69.23. When we first came on, it was trading right around 68. So we are seeing a little bit of a move up here. Let's see if any of those quantum names are pumping here this morning that were originally LAES, which is seals. We know this thing has been pumping for a few days, going all the way back towards, December 11th, up another 34% this morning. Seems to be stalling out right around that price, right around that 370 level so far. So that seems to be the spot that it is hitting its, spot. Rumble continuing to see its move up here again on the news of the investment, $755 million by Tether into there. So we have seen that. QUBT, quantum computing, again, another one up about 14%. Ron, the volume's low. It's showing normal on mine. So is it you sure it's not you there, Ron? Because it is showing normal on my screen here, but let's see what I can do. I have it locked. I have to unlock it. Hold it 1 second. Why does it not want to work for me here? Hold it 1 second. Close. Let's see here. Okay. Hopefully that's a little better for you there, Ron. It is showing. I think I'm talking quiet because it's just me talking to myself. When I'm only talking to myself, yeah. When I moved the mic a little bit better here for you, buddy. Um, Ron, I was mentioning. I don't know if you saw that QUBT is one that I might actually sort of interest maybe in fading in the fact that while it's a huge quantum name, um, no, just me right now, Ron, till Stephen Flanagan comes in at 10. Big beat still away. QUBT, they've only put about $2 million in R&D last year versus the amount of R&D you see by the other quantum computer companies, especially Rigetti, and others. So it's one that I am definitely keeping an eye on here, maybe as a fade. The same thing, this Rumble that's just taken off is one to me that looks like it could be a decent fade from this, although it was 10.30 just recently. Now it's only at $10. But it just, they just seem like fades. These ones that just pump up. We've seen it, MicroStrategy, all the others. This thing's up here at $10. Uh, because Tether invested in it, but you're watching QBTS. I don't know that one offhand. QBTS. D-Wave Quantum. Okay, whoa. 802. Yeah, I mean this one making a resurgence here. Trying to get a run. Let's see, it was named a buy from what did they give it as a rating, as a price? They're looking for $9. So yeah, I mean the latest one there. That's an interesting one. Some other names I saw, Ron, that was sort of a little bit out of the mainstream. Hold on 1 second. I get that here, I think. that are a little bit different than what you would normally think about in the AI and quantum. One of them was Duolingo, Duol, which is an AI play. And um, the thing there is that they teach foreign languages online and they use AI at the core of their offerings. They currently offer online courses in more than 40 languages to more than 100 million people. They saw their active users grow 36% in third quarter, and their paid subscribers grew 47%. So one that I think there, and what they talked about, the reason why the growth is so robust is Lily, an AI powered purple hair sassy cartoon character who language students practice conversations with. So the use of AI there being part of the play. So I do think that that is interesting. Another one that I had already been sort of watching, AXON. And AXON is a company that produces a lot of the body armor and stuff for police officers. And what they are adding into their new body cam equipment is the ability for AI to sort of write up reports, to speed up the ability of them to write up reports, officers and stuff. It would basically give them a draft and then they adjust that draft. So I did think this is an interesting one. Again, looking for names that are AI and quantum without knowing they're AI and quantum. Um, Another one that's going to be big, in my opinion, Kratos, that I'm keeping an eye on, CTOS. They are a defense company highly tied into the Iron Dome, and we know how much Israel, unfortunately, has had to rely on that, and that was continuing to see that. I think it's going to just continue to move in that way. And they have now come out with their Valkyrie drones, which are a attack drone. So, sort of play more on that area of it. Another one sort of following up on Palantir that I'm keeping an eye on is Sentinel One, which is S. Whoops, I hit the wrong thing there. Oh no, I did hit the wrong thing. Sentinel One after Palantir is really one of the biggest players when it comes to cybersecurity at the DoD. So definitely one that I am keeping an eye on here. What it is none of these have caught, while they, some of these are trading pretty high in their ratio towards their all-time highs, but they haven't taken that huge jump that we've seen by these other AI names and quantum names, right? So that's sort of the play that I have on these is, yeah, that, again, this one's right in the middle. 2248 out of its range was 3078, but some of the ones that I just showed you were you know, towards their highs, but none of them has done, what Seals has, what Rigetti has, what Kubert has. Another one on the medical side, and Ron, I think you brought this up before. TEM, Tempest is another one that I got from my man Charlie Moon. Um, that's at an interesting spot here, about to bottom out. As you can see at this 32 level, it bottomed out for the second time. And what Tempest does is they use AI to improve medical diagnosis. So we know how important that's going to be going forward. We are open here. Sorry, I started chatting away. I didn't even look at the open here. We are open. QQQ getting a nice little pump here to start off with. Okay. Let's see if we can get a little bit of momentum going here this morning. QQQ seems to be it where it's starting off. The question is the Mag 7 leading that way? You see Tesla up about 2.4% here, Nvidia up 1.75, Google up 7/4 of a percentage point here, Meta up 1.7. Meta's been the quiet one that's been making a nice little move up here back towards its all-time high. I like the way that it respected the 50-day MA there, so Meta looks pretty good. Bitcoin back below 95 here. Not surprising. We're going to see some weak hands start to sell off here, in my opinion, on crypto. So one just to keep an eye on. You're going to see, a little bit of a sell off here this morning, in my opinion, across crypto. And you can see it across IBIT, and everything else is seeing a quick sell off here. Did mention I like Mara a lot under that 20 level here, especially with its 200-day MA. If it gets closer to that 1925 spot, I do think Mara, this would be a good time to pick it up personally. I'm going to look to do that. The same thing with BITF here is one that I was interested in. So on this retrace here, might take a look at it. AMTM, which was up nicely in the pre-market, has lost that momentum. Same thing across the board here. Most of the pre-market ones that were up, the only runner here I see AVGO continue to run up. SMCI also getting a little bit more love here. That one's a tough one, as Steve and I have said. I don't think I could play SMCI to the upside right now. There's still much overhang there. Oxy having a nice move up. Our pumpers. Let's see, we got some of the pumpers are running here. RELI that I had up. Reliance now up 270%. If that thing makes a move here above 440, you could see it run here. So RELI looking to make a run here up 267%. See if any of these others are trying to make a run here. That one sort of faded away. TRAW definitely still in play here. TRAW. Whoops, I don't want the daily chart. I want the 3-minute. Here we go. You can see here. Broke back across VWAP, challenging VWAP right here. If you could see this break to the upside, could be a runner up towards this 15 mark from the $12 level it's at right now. Let's see if any of these others are giving us a run here. I had a bunch of them that I was watching. You can see CYN here trying to make a pump. I don't know if I like that. Rumble holding up pretty well so far, still up 44%. Seals is fading off. That's not surprising here. Looks like ABAT might be. No, not really. Rigetti up about 17, but it's fading out too. PRZO, this could be a runner here. This is one of the ones here, 209. If we can get across 209 here, I like this. Yeah, Ron, I'm really moving up on that tether news. Like I said, I'm more of a fade on that than I would be a continuation personally. I mean, it still doesn't really change the market, right? Do you know anybody that uses Rumble? I don't. I really don't. And that's what worries me with these blockchain-based systems, special social media. None of them have caught on. None of them have shown the ability to move the needle. You know, they're going to have a lot of money to try to move it. The other thing I would warn Ron with the RUM is that if you read that announcement, they also announced they're going to do a secondary offering, I believe. That this would fund a secondary offering. Let me give you that info. I don't want to give you the wrong info here. Hold it. Here it is. Where is it? Here it is. The company announced Tether agreed to purchase about 103.3 million shares at $7.50 a share, and it anticipates using 250 million to support growth initiatives. The remaining proceeds will fund a self-tender offer for up to 70 million Class A shares. 750, yes, that's what I mean too. Is you know, it's when does someone open their eyes and say they only paid 750? It's already at a 50% increase to that price. Is it still a value? That's why, like I said, I would be more of looking to fade this. Maybe not this morning, but maybe a little further down. I haven't looked to see. Give me 1 second here. What they're Yeah, 750 was what they paid. So yeah, so I don't know that. Let's see. If I looked for a fade the news, maybe a January 1 kind of put play. That doesn't even make sense. $10 puts are only a penny, where 10.50 puts are $2, so there must be no volume. Oh yeah, no volume. No volume on the options. Let me check the monthly end in the 24th. Maybe there's something. No. Oh wow, you seen that, Ron? If you look at their option chain has like no, that will change now that there's some volatility, but there's no action on their option chain, so it'd be tough to short it without just straight shorting it, which I don't have the ability to do. My account doesn't have enough to do that. Let's see here. What do we got moving so far? Any stops? NVNI stops here. So if you look in the bottom right of my screen, you'll see that I did put in the Quasar market stop trade halts there, so you can see as they happen live. NVNI was halted. NVNI halted to the downside. What about AMST? Another halt here. AMST. That's a haul to the upside. Here you go. It's a pretty big jump up. Why do I keep hitting the wrong button there? Some point I'll get that right. Wow, 610. What did they find out? Package software company. Wins enterprise contract wins high growth companies with hundreds of franchise owners. This one definitely looks like it wants to run. It went off at 939, so this is about to go open back up here again. This is AMST. We'll keep an eye on this one as it runs here. Yeah, Ron, that's what I said. Hopefully that will change as volatility comes in, right? Then we'll see people run into those options, hopefully, and get us there so you can, so we could use them. That's what I would hope. Excuse me. Tick down about 112 now, so we are seeing it negative. Advanced decline down now negative. QQQ still moving up, but the Dow and the SPY moving down, and QQQ really being led, like we said, by the Mag 7 so far, with Nvidia, Apple, Google, Meta, Tesla all up. Although Tesla coming right back down, it was up a couple of percentage points, now only down up about 9/10 of a percentage point. Let's take a look QQQ here. Volume's not terrible today. 1.5 million in the first 15 minutes. If we look at that as an hourly volume candle, let's do that versus what we saw last week. Yeah, so volume's still a little low. Let's see what we get here in volume. A little low here this morning. I was hoping we'd see a little bit more options. I mean, a little bit more volume kick in here this morning before we get going, but it doesn't look like it really wants to. I do need to get set up for when Mr. Flanagan comes. Give me 1 second here to do something. Okay. Rumble 1036. Not seeing any real pumpers so far here. Let's see what we get here. So the big pumpers this morning. This one's trying Reliance at $4. Let's see if we find something nice sitting right around Got a couple of things trying to run here. TRAW definitely trying to run here. That breaks through this 15. Watch out. 16, excuse me, 16. Rejected. Kid pick rejected at the VWAP. This one's in play still. RAPT Therapeutics could be a fun one here. Just again bounced at VWAP. As long as it stays above VWAP, you're fairly positive here. I like these ones that break $1. Edible has been around it all morning, but moving the wrong direction now. That's moving the wrong direction. Rumble, like we talked about. Rumble 1062, nice little jump there. Not really much from sign. They're not really running so far. Let's see what happens with that. What was it? AMST, that was. So it reopened and closed back down. Wow. Not a ton of fun stuff. Okay, Ron, let me see what I can do here about that. Let's see. Hopefully there's that. No, that ain't doing it. I see what you mean too, Ron. It isn't as high as it normally is here. Let me hit. I know what's going on. It's going to be this again. How's that, Ron? Does that help a little bit? That should help you. Yeah, definitely Nordics rather, definitely in play there. You are correct there. Um, Definitely going to keep an eye on it. As it tries to move back up, like you said. Okay, let's see what else is going on here. Nvidia now back. Nvidia seems to be the one moving up in the Mag 7 so far here this morning. Although actually retraced here after hitting the high of almost 138. AMTM after retracing completely back all of its gains now back up 3% here. So early morning riser continuing to move up. AVGO up 3.54% here. So it's trying to make its run. Oh, TRAW that we were just looking at did make its run up. Looks like it might be stopped here. TRAW. I'm seeing a halt on my halt screen. So if I had to guess, that's what it is. It just broke above its daily high here. So this is one that could definitely look to run. I don't like when they get stopped just as they break that, though. It gives too much people pause. And you see sometimes them sell off right out of that. But that's definitely one to keep an eye on. TRAW here. Rumble now almost at 11 here. So it's there it goes, 11:10. So Rumble's going to be the runner here. It is definitely catching it. It's going to be the one here today. 11:27. It keeps on moving without a doubt. Okay, what else do we got going on here this morning? Rumble continuing 11:45. It's the big runner so far. Tracing now a little bit. TRAW, that's 1664. It was halted though. You got about 2 more minutes for that to reopen. CHS and another pumper here. Wrong way though, pumping down. Tick now down 338, advanced decline down almost 2,000 now. All three indices to the downside. Bitcoin dumping here below 94 here, so pretty big dump here across Bitcoin. Like I said, I would be watching for it to drop back towards 91, 650 or so here this morning. Gold catching a little bit of the bid, 26.15. WTI back above 69, VIX back above 19. Nat gas selling off a little bit here, down about 360 here. Have a great one, buddy. Have a great one, Ron. NASDAQ 100 up about a 0.5% here. So we are seeing Mag 7 sort of leading the way here. Still slightly down on QQQ. AMTM running now up 4% here. So one of the early morning pumpers that sold off now moving back up. TRAW reopened 1664 here. Actually, it didn't reopen. Still waiting to reopen. Edible now moving back up here. Edible up about 61% on the day. Seeing a pullback by Quantum QUBT here. It's dropped back tremendously after pumping up, hitting a high of a little over 20 earlier. Now back down at 17.95. Rigetti giving up some of its gains also. So those quantum names starting to give back a little bit here. Same thing. LAES, which is seals, giving back a little bit. What is not giving back, Rumble, now up almost 60% on the day at 11.50. So it does look like it's going to continue to run here. Rumble is continuing to move up. RUM. Mag 7 starting to cool off. Nvidia now down about up about 1%, but we know it had been up almost 2%. Google getting closer to flat here. Meta still moving up though, 592.50 here. Nice little swing up here, trying to get back up across VWAP here. Meta's been one that's been grinding itself up a lot of different days here, I've noticed. So could be one to watch for a grind up here. Again, that is Meta. Tesla's up, back up over a point here, 1.24% up. And outside of Netflix, it looks like most of the Mag 7 here wants to try to go positive. If we look at sectors, only see XLK is the only sector in the green so far, which is the technology. So NASDAQ 1. Good morning, Zora. How are you doing? He is on a cruise, Zora. He is on a cruise, living large. Unfortunately for me, he'll be back later. I don't not till next week actually. This week's a short week, as you know. QQQ is back to positive here, so QQQ is trying to stay positive. Well, I'll have Steve Flanagan in here in a few minutes. He will be here to join us. Okay, we are about 9:55, 5 minutes out from having Mr. Flanagan join us here today. The market's holding up pretty well so far. You know, advanced decline doesn't look great, but and tick minus 300. So again, it seems to be a stock picker's market without a doubt. Um, Without a doubt, a stock picker's market today. We are seeing some things move up nicely. ASST up almost 10%, Broadcom up 4.52%. Chinese names getting a little bit of love here today. Alibaba up 1.74, Baidu up 3%. JD is up about a percentage point. So again, we are seeing a little bit of love. PDD getting some love. It's about even. Timo's parent company there. DXY holding above 108 here, so it could explain why gold, Bitcoin, and silver unable to really catch a bid here. You can see silver back below that 30 handle. Gold did get back above 2,600, but we did see it get down to 2,550 or so over the weekend. 94K on Bitcoin. So again, Zora, don't get sad. That we need that healthy. Um, you need healthy retracements. You need to develop price action. Otherwise, bad things happen. So you can't go up every day in a straight line. And if you do, then nobody's happy. If Bitcoin goes up in a straight line, you're mad at me that you didn't buy enough. So listen, this gives you your chance to get your levels, to buy what you need at your levels, and move on, and to move from there. So don't get mad about it. Again, you can't complain when it's at $95,000 when it was at 25 6 months ago, right? So was it 6 months ago now? February. So in a year, it's gone from 20. Zora, that's being selfish. I'm just teasing you. We all need it there. You gotta wait though. Again, it's gotta be in the right way. Tick is still negative here. QQQ though is moving up about 2/10 of a percentage point here. Let's see. The question there is going to be as it gets to 520, almost 521, can it break through that level? That's going to be the key thing to keep an eye on there. Let me get ready here. Mr. Flanagan, I see, has entered the room, but I got to hit these buttons, otherwise he doesn't know I'm there. Okay, let me grab my headphones here and we'll bring him in. Give me 1 second to get him on screen here, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. And I see him there. So we are ready to rock and roll. Stephen Flanagan, how was your weekend, sir?
Very good, Howard, and I hope yours was well. The
It
festive
was.
mood, where is it in the marketplace?
That's what I said this morning we opened. I said, a week ago, everybody was extremely, we had fear and greed at such a greed spot. And now it seems like it's reversed. So that's why I said I'm a little not nervous, but I wouldn't be surprised to see one of those little inconspicuous jump days here. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe we get the Santa rally on Thursday. But, usually when the market's zigging, the institutions want to zag, right?
That's right, and we want to watch the money moves first because that's going to give us the telltale signal here. You know, you're coming off of a hawkish Fed, and then there's a lot of the theme is that spending cuts coming up in the next administration. Spending cuts, hawkish Fed, that's like a big negative blanket. But the marketplace is going to say, look, you guys are behind the curve.
Right.
Let's look at the PCE data that came out. So I agree with you. You got to watch the upside. It's going to trickle and then it's going to break this week because the data is telling us inflation is coming down. The central banks need to keep cutting. Highlighted the UK GDP out today,
Zero.
0.
I saw it. As soon as I saw it, I thought of you, my friend. Yeah. Did I miss any Chinese stimulus or something? I noticed China names moving up today, and I hadn't really seen any news over the weekend there that was leading to that. But I got to be honest, I was watching college football and enjoying myself this weekend more so than keeping an eye on the markets.
And good for you because that's what this time of year is all about. It's
Yeah.
to simple, relax, enjoy family, friends, and relax and take a break from the markets because if we move up, it'll be followed by a move back down. That's the
Right.
type of year at the year end you're in. Each move is offset by another move. So, but it is a big week, Howard, and I want to point out something to the viewers that I want to keep on your radar here, and that is Japanese economic statistics. Japan is open on Christmas. Those numbers are going to come out throughout this week. And it's important that we keep an eye because at an interest rate of 0.25, we know the expectation is in March of next year for the Bank of Japan to move rates higher. But these economic figures coming out could simply accelerate that to an earlier view. With the dollar yen at 156 and a half right now, we know this is coming into intervention territory.
Yeah, it's
So
actually jumped up over 157 again as we've been talking here this morning. Yeah, I mean,
that's
you've seen,
correct.
the dollar just is killing everything right now. I mean, gold, silver, oil, you name it, Bitcoin. I mean, how high can it go here? Can we get to 109?
The Dixie at 108.15 right now, roughly. We're now beginning to establish a trading pattern above 108. I do think that the next move could be seen. We could see a pop to 110.
Wow.
And you know what? The King Dollar scenario right now playing out, you could see this at 113, 114 again. I'm not certain what is in the cards that could change that forecast. Weakening Europe, you've got the ECB Governor Vucic out on Saturday saying the central bank will continue to lower borrowing costs throughout 2025. The
Right.
UK quickly going to catch up here. And China, we know more stimulus and lower rates are in the cards. You're just looking at the dollar by default.
Yeah, I mean, does China do something big? Do you think that this is, this blow up of the dollar is going to start to get them on their, defensive?
Um, I think China has domestic issues. Again, the value of the dollar going up is weakening the Chinese currency, which is not going to be viewed from their perspective as a bad thing.
Okay.
But I think China's problems are domestic in nature.
Right.
So I would look for a stimulus uh, attacking their domestic situation. Outside of China, though, I love Japan. I do think that the Japanese are turning the corner here, and that could be a great area. I always look for the double bang. So if
Right.
I get a strengthening in the Japanese economy, I always look if I can get the double bang with the currency appreciation. And
Right.
I think at 157, 156, $157 yen, I have that potential here in a bigger picture, not an overnight trade, but in a
Right.
bigger picture, I think that that's a good trade.
Well, I've been waiting. I think that we're going to see Mr. Buffett throw more money into those Japanese trading houses that he has had success with over the years. And as we know, he's a trendsetter. When that stuff starts to happen, we see others follow pretty quickly. So I've been keeping my eye on some of those trading houses and looking for an opportunity there, using maybe that MSCI, funds that they have and stuff to get in there, because I do think, and you'd know better than me, but they call them trading houses, but they're really more like BlackRock and Citadel. They are private equity companies, completely. I mean, that's what they do.
That's right, and they are very strong and well situated. And I've been watching Mr. Buffett. He's been doing this for 6 months or better now, moving a lot of assets into Japan. Follow the leader. That's the way I
Yeah,
always say.
and he's doing it quietly, and he's not buying one thing, so he's not
That's
setting
right.
off any, that's what I was sort of thinking about over the weekend a little bit when I was thinking about the markets. Was I've noticed that, he's not hitting 10% of anything to set off that he's got to start putting in daily reports to the SEC or anybody else out there. So those are usually the times that I think that he does things that all of a sudden you turn around and they'll say, yeah, he put, $7 billion into, Japan, and now everybody's chasing it. So it's one to keep an eye on, I think, because you've
And
pointed
keep
out that Asia was an area you were looking at, and
yes,
specifically Japan. So,
and keep in mind that very large merger that's being announced now in the
yeah,
autumn.
what do you think about that? I mean, I was looking at it. I think it's got to be good for the industry there. Nissan's a dead dog. I
Yep.
mean, it was a fun car in the 90s. When they were still Datsun, especially. But they seem to have lost their way, and I wonder if Honda is on the verge of that. Again, I was a Honda Accord guy. I loved them, and they didn't keep up. I drive a Kia now. I'll be the first to admit it. Kia, Genesis, Hyundai, those have all, in my opinion, taken that step up where Honda didn't.
But that's precisely why this is going on. But the
Yeah.
key in this one that I'm looking at is Honda is not just an automobile
No, not at
company,
all.
right?
Right.
No, they are well situated for this next generation AI, automation, robotic automation. They are well situated in that area. So these are two powerhouse companies. You're right. They've been kind of languishing here. But I look at this as a big positive to a portfolio based in the yen.
Okay, and I like that trade. I just get, I grew up unfortunately in the era of mergers within the automobile industry where tunes for disaster. Is that, I guess that's what scares me is, I just know all the times I had an uncle that owned AMC dealerships and Jeep dealerships. So you can imagine we lived through the Renault days, everybody, that thing has gone 17 ways and it just didn't seem to work. But like you said, I think Honda is a much bigger company that's going to provide some, savings and stuff when it comes to their technology, their AI side. Um, so yeah, so I do think that it could be a positive there. So it'll be one to keep an eye on. It doesn't even put him in the game though compared to Toyota and the others. I was blown away. I didn't realize how much bigger. I mean, I did, but when you look at it, the size of Tesla versus all other automobile companies, it's just insane.
Yes,
It,
that's true. But let's follow this week. It'll be a holiday week. Wednesday markets are closed, but let's follow the Japanese situation here because on Tuesday you get the BOJ minutes from their last when they did
okay,
not hike. I thought they could hike, but let's see if there was any dissent or discussion on hiking because that's going to move currency markets. And I think at this point, a strengthening yen could be seen as a positive to the financial markets. Then you have CPI in the Tokyo section on Friday, which has been up 2.2%. If that continues along that lays the groundwork again for the viewers.
please,
Japan has been fighting deflation for 20 plus years. If they begin to see a perking up of inflation, that's considered a good
good
thing in
thing.
Japan.
Right.
And
Yep.
we finally get interest rates up, which moves the currency. And as money begins to move, financial markets become alive. So they also have retail sales and preliminary industrial production. So quite a few figures in Japan to be watching at as this week uh, uh,
Plays
travels
out.
on.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's the thing, while we might take a break here in the US, it's not that across the world. Most of the other markets will be pretty active over the week. But so far, that's the question's going to be is going to be the Santa rally, right? That's what everyone's going to be looking for on Thursday. Um, and I think that things with being the way they are on edge, if they don't see it right away, watch out below too. Um,
Yeah, we like to say at this time of year, nobody is putting risk on the institutional side, which offers some of the retail great opportunities because as the institutional side pulls to the sidelines, new trades are coming in on January 2nd, the
yep.
first trading day. And one would expect that that would be a rally, at least based on the available data. Something I would point out was the Council of Economic Advisors, the incoming Trump administration announced Stephen Moran. Now, this
Very
guy,
pro crypto guy.
pro crypto, but very critical of the present Treasury and
Oh
their
yeah.
debt management. Now,
He's a deregulation guy, right? When it comes to
I've been
banks.
talking about this. Why on earth did the United States put all of their Treasury holdings and debt into the short end at a time when the Fed is
Yeah.
raising interest rates?
It's,
And Janet Yellen comes from the Fed. Hello, is
yeah.
there any coordination? So I looked at that as a real positive signal to the scenario, the macro environment that I'm looking to look forward to in 2025. This is going to be another good thing in the waiting that I keep trying to find. I'm finding a lot more good things here to come to fruition than the negative side.
Yeah, I'm with you. The only thing that worries me from the retail side, and definitely not from the institution because they don't care and they don't play this game and they understand it, is when things don't happen in day one. Retail seems to be very spooked right now, right? So that's where I'm saying you've seen some irrationality and you've seen the difference. Honda Nissan was a perfect example, right? It came out, Honda dropped, Nissan went up.
Yeah.
Everybody took the data, thought about it over the weekend. What happened today? Honda shot
Right.
up, Nissan shot down. So
Well,
we've seen these sort of disconnects between Main Street and Wall Street that that I think that is going to give us some of this volatility over the next until the first of the year, like you said, until the institutions come back to play after the first of the year.
in currencies, volatility is back. And that's only because of the diverging interest rate global scenario. One
Yeah,
thing I would point out to your viewers, though, is as an ex institutional trader for many, many, many years, a long time, one of the things I always looked at in the beginning of a year, I always found that if the horses came out of the gates in a bullish or bearish trend, whatever happened in the first 2 to 3 weeks of the year, we spend the rest of the quarter trying to unwind. So
that's a great call. I mean, and
I'm
that would
hoping,
fit right into where we're at right now, right? Everything's the mean reversion trade, right? We've talked about it. Outside of the dollar, which is the continuation trade that just won't stop.
that's right,
Everything else has pretty much been a sell-off as soon as you see a pump one way or the other.
right.
Um, so that wouldn't be surprising. And like you said, is part of that is those algorithms will kick in together. They'll send everything into hyperdrive for a day or two until they settle off and it blows off. That's, it tends to go towards what we're seeing there, I think, too, right?
Now, a market environment is dominated by the simplest computer model, and that's a mean reversion. It's a simple look back window. When was the last time this, whatever, stock, currency, bond, when was the last time it moved X factor? Oh, it hasn't. Therefore, I have to go the opposite way because the odds are that it will come back. And that's why you're getting these moves you're describing. Mean reversion models dominate the marketplace, but when they're wrong, that's when you get these acceleration
Explosions,
type moves.
because then they've got to catch up. Now they've got to close
That's
their positions and open them in a different direction or open a different trade based upon that. I don't know if did you see the article today on Market Watch talking about the coming global interest rate collapse will force 4 Fed rate cuts in 2025. I think this person had too much eggnog already.
Well, that is a theory, and I am been talking this for months that get it over with, central banks, just lower rates, will you? And I have to look for that article. If you can, send it to me.
Oh yeah,
But
you got it. Yeah,
I'd love to read that.
you got it. It's a pretty good one. Lewis Navier wrote it. But yeah, he the first line you'll love: U.S. Fed Chair Jerome Powell has lost any ability he may have to keep the FOMC moving in lockstep. Now more uncertainty surrounds the Fed.
That you don't. It's well written, obviously, because that's the central banks. For the viewers, they're looking at models, and the models are based on past performance. But the problem is, in 2020 through 2022, COVID has demolished every single model that has a 5, 7, 10 year look back.
Right?
Because how much money has been pumped into the financial markets since 2020. I'm estimating, and it's very difficult to get your hands around fiscal and monetary, QE, and then all the spending plans, but we are clearly in excess of 25 to 35 trillion dollars, especially if we take that window back to 2008 and
Right?
look at the amount of money created. So, with never before in history has all this money been pumped into the marketplace. Therefore, any model based on a look back window is erroneous from its beginning.
Yeah, exactly. But there's yeah, and I guess that's what they're trying to fit. That's what they're doing, right? Those people training the AI are teaching it how to discount or how to factor in those numbers. But you also know that unfortunately, price action does matter. So, you can't just throw it out. You can't say, okay, computers ignore 2020 to 2022 and then do your math because if something hit 375, it could hit if it filled this gap, if it didn't fill this gap. As you know, those things all tend to play out eventually, right?
Precisely. And that's why, to emphasize again what you've already characterized, so many of the moves are short-term basis because everybody has brought their sight, their line of sight, into a shorter-term environment. Data releases are having bigger and bigger impacts now.
Yeah, well, and when over 50% of the options on the S&P and on QQQ are being traded in zero DTE, it's going to have that effect, right? I mean, because there is no tomorrow. When they're
That's it.
playing that game, that's part of the unfortunate change in the market that I don't like. I don't have any problem with zero DTEs, or I don't have any problems on how anyone wants to invest. As I come from the world of 100x leverage crypto, although not that I ever did that. But it just shows it's the same thing as it's understanding options go to zero
That's right.
DTE options all go to zero very quickly, the time decay
Very quickly.
involved, and you get so many people. That's what we try to do here at Quasar Markets, is educate people and let them understand what they're doing, because I hate when I get on Twitter or I see I lost all my money because I did this, and you're like, why would you do that?
Right. One
Unfortunately.
must one must have an effective risk management strategy before you enter a marketplace.
Absolutely, and understanding that, well, and I think that's where people do a misnomer, because they always say, well, stocks don't go to zero. No, but options do, and people don't explain that to their viewers, and then the next thing you know, they're on the wrong side of a trade trying to figure out how to salvage something that's probably not salvageable.
Right. For
Well,
43 years, I've been a risk manager. You can always hit me up, and you could look on my YouTube and you could see Flanagan Rules for Trading. Effective,
absolutely,
effective risk management.
absolutely. Mr. Flanagan, we're going to let you get out of here and enjoy your Christmas holiday. Have a fantastic holiday with the family. Stay safe
Thank
out
you.
there. And we will see you after Christmas.
Happy holidays to all the Quasar Market viewers. Thank you. And I'll see you, I guess, on Friday.
Absolutely. Thank you so